Hello everybody, welcome back to, is my mic on? Fishy business on a Friday night. Why am I all blurry? I'm going to have to adjust the focus. That's worse. Slightly better. Yes, happy Friday everyone. Not the happiest of days for me, as you're probably aware. But feel free to talk about it. It is what it is. These things happen and all that kind of stuff. We do have a normal schedule of frivolity, quiz, games, chat, whatever you want. But most certainly, a beer. So hope you're enjoying a tasty snack and beverage yourself. I will be pouring one out for my homie, who's no longer with us. If you haven't heard the news, my flower horn, Humphrey, passed away today. So I couldn't save him. He's not here, I've just made these glasses dirtier. Despite all the help and all the useful suggestions, I'm very surprised that the internet was actually mostly useful, giving me some good things to try and do. But yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to crack one open. Hope you don't mind. For all you ASMRers. I think I've had this one before. This is Tank Petrol by Northern Monk. A hazy IPA. Hazy is one of my favourite things. I seem to like the hazy ones better than the rest. And Northern Monk is one of my go-to beers. Most of the ones I've tried from that brewery I've enjoyed. And my all-time favourite is from that brewery. So, this is Faith and Future's Northern Monk. By drinking this, I am supporting people. I'm helping them to support people, places, and communities. So this is a charitable donation. Who cares? It's beer. So I will enjoy that. Right. Who have we got in tonight? I know it's Fish Fam Link's first one in, and Lisa. And then Brian, nice to see you all. Juggler, nice to see you. GB's here. Ethan, thank you. Silver Surfer, crappy news. There is. But we can't pretend it didn't happen. So, it's fine. Solemn evening tonight, guys. Hope everyone's doing okay, despite the heartbreaking news. Let's keep up those likes, shall we? Yes. At least like to get a sympathy like out of it, if nothing else. It's what Humphrey would have wanted. Evening from a cold Edinburgh, evening from a cold Sheffield. It is Baltic outside. Gutted about Humph. Yep, me too. You and me both. Lanks Fishkeeper, nice to see you. No judgment if you're drinking a bit more tonight, Graham. I'm starting early. Hi from Sweden, hi from Sheffield. Nice to see you. A well-deserved beer. It is. Evening Dangerous Dan, thank you very much. Horrible, sorry for your loss, as am I. I was a bit gutted earlier. I was not very happy about things. Christine, thank you. Tim Reptile, nice to see you. So, we've got a quiz. I had prepared a quiz. So we will do the quiz at 10 o'clock. And Tim was last week's winner. And under the new regime, the winner gets to pick a specialist subject for the following week. And Tim picked aquatic reptiles. So if you want to do some boning up between now and the next 55 minutes, aquatic reptiles will be some of the specialist subject questions for the quiz tonight, as well as the other random tat that I managed to find. Yeah, that's... I kind of don't know what to talk about now because I am a bit discombobulated. I've never been one of those people who's like, oh no, my fish has died. But I feel a bit like I felt when my dog died. I didn't think I'd ever feel like that about a fish. So yeah, it was. I'll relay the stream. That doesn't even make sense. I will relay my thoughts just so as I've covered it. So the video, if you've seen the video from earlier, I shot that this afternoon. So that's why there was no editing or anything of any, so to speak, on it. And I'd been filming little bits of the clips over the last couple of days of all the bits that I was doing and checking on the microscope and all that kind of stuff. And I came down this morning after dozing with the Esha 2000 yesterday, and I was made up. He looked so much brighter, so much more energetic, zooming about. I was like, we've cracked it, we've done it. So I left him to it. I got on with a bit of work, did a bit of work. And I sit here, this is where I sit at my desk to do my work. So I'm sitting here working away quite happily. And I'm thinking, he's up at the window, he's shimmering and shaking and saying, feed me, feed me. So, like, great, I'll go and get the camera and we'll film a bit of an update. And I literally went from there. I had left my microphone upstairs, went up to get the microphone, came back in, grabbed the camera, set the tripod, turned round, and he was like, head standing, still breathing, but pale as anything, and head standing. And it was literally the space of not even 5 minutes from me going upstairs and coming back down again. So that was genuine befuddlement and bemusement on my face of, what? How can you be better and then immediately get worse? So I thought maybe drastic times, drastic measures, all that kind of stuff. I started preparing one of those tanks over there, thinking, right, maybe if there is something in the tank, I'll just get him out of that tank altogether. Whether it's the medication isn't agreeing with him or whatever it is, or there's something else that's getting him while he's in that tank, can solve both those problems by getting him out that tank. So while I was waiting for that to heat up, I kind of picked him up and righted him and propped him against the side of the glass, and he was kind of alright. And then I wanted to raise him up a bit, so I put him in a big net to just bring him up a bit so he could still breathe and water could get past him and everything. But yeah, it didn't last more than 10 minutes after that. So yeah, I didn't. My immediate thought was, right, I'm not going to make a video out of that. But then I thought, I make a video of all my mistakes and all my failures, and whether this is my mistake or failure will remain to be seen. But yeah, the whole ethos of me and my channel has been, if I'm doing it, I film it. So whatever it is in the fish room, I film it. That's why you get such random videos from me, like, I'm making Pleco Pop's fish food. There's a video. I'm killing my flower horn. It's a video. So that's why I decided to release it. It's not entertaining, I don't think. It's... Yeah, I don't know. So I've seen that there's like 50 odd comments on that video already, and I purposely haven't looked because I know some of them will wind me up. I know most of them will be very genuine and heartfelt condolences and things like that, which is very much appreciated. But I just kind of ignored it for now because I just can't be dealing with it. Because it doesn't really matter what the subject is. There will always be some twat out there that will make some twatish comment that will just piss me off because I won't be able to ignore it. But I expect that, so that's fine. That's why I'm ignoring it, because don't want to deal with it today. I'll deal with it tomorrow and I'll look at it then. So it is what it is. Last burst of energy, maybe. Yeah, I was thinking maybe that. It was the colour. The colour coming back for me was because it had a few bursts of not energy, but swimming around, not just like dazed and confused in one corner. But the colour had always been off. He'd either been too dark or too pale, and his colour came back. And I thought, So my immediate thought was the Esha 2000. It's done It's done the business. There's been some kind of fungus, there's been some kind of bacterial infection on his skin, and it's just cleared up, and that's allowed him to shine through. So, yeah, I don't know. Pardon me. Chinese water dragon is the answer. I'll give you a hint. For the quiz, the Chinese water dragon is not the answer to any of the questions. Juggler says, my 17-year-old passed her test the other week, and tonight she's driven down to Leeds for an agility course this weekend, and then on to Manchester for a concert on Sunday. I told her any issues you'd help her out in Yorkshire, Graham. Hope you don't mind. That's fine. Maybe not tonight, because I plan on having a couple of these. But I'm free tomorrow, actually. Oh, I've got a 16-year-old, and he's just started talking about, when I pass my test, and the 13-year-old's giving it, will I be allowed to drive your car, Dad, when I taking lessons? No, absolutely not. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and they were saying that a few years ago when it was their son started driving, and they had like a bog standard VW Golf, nothing, not a GTI or anything like that, just your bog standard economy version, and they were getting quotes like nearly £2,000 to insure the 17-year-old on that car. I've got a GTE, and there's no way I'm paying thousands of pounds insurance. I'm going to have to buy a new car for my kids, or an old car, a crap car. I think that's generally what you do, isn't it? It just seems ridiculous, the amount of insurance. I remember thinking it was expensive when I first started driving, but it's nothing like what it is today. I don't know how people can afford. It's mental. You thought it was doctors and nurses tonight? What gave you that impression? On the quiz, I'm sure it was. I went back and watched, especially. I am going to have to start writing this down. So when we get to this point after the quiz today, and whoever it is that wins, remind me to write it down, because I had to spend the other day going, what was it we said we were going to do? I had to spend watching myself on it, which is never fun, on the live stream to find the bit where we decided what it was going to be. Chinese water dragons are epic to watch. I've heard of some people who can handle them. Humphrey was more than a fish, just a fish to you, so it makes complete sense why you're feeling the way you are, and it's to be expected. He's not one of many, he's one of a kind. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I was thinking about it earlier and going, what a mistake to name him. But I don't think I'd feel the same way if... So I've not named many fish. We've got Humphrey, Gordon, Brian. I think they're the only ones I've named. I don't think I would feel this way if Gordon or Brian passed away. So I think it was... But then again, I have had Humphrey for 4 years, and I've not had them for 4 years. But I think it's just because he was so personable. Even though most of the time when he was showing affection, it was so as he could lull me into a false sense of security and bite my finger off. He just was consistently active, interested, engaging, personable. And I never thought I'd be that kind of person that was into big cichlids and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he was a water puppy, as someone else said. Frustrating that you couldn't pinpoint the cause of illness. Yes, I have started looking into, and I don't know if I'm going to follow this through, but fish autopsies. I was going to ask a resident fish theologist, science person, whether that was a massive scam, these companies that offer fish investigative autopsies of fish. So he's in the freezer at the moment because I don't know what to do. If nothing else, it's because bin day isn't for another 2 weeks. So that's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, funeral arrangements. Yeah, bin day's not for a fortnight, so I don't know what to do. So while I don't know what to do, he's in the freezer. He's either going to be ceremoniously given a funeral and put out on bin day, or we might dig a hole somewhere and bury him, plant a tree, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I guess that whether we ever get to the pinpoint the cause of the illness, I don't know. It would be good just to know, because you can't learn without the knowledge. So I can't avoid repeating mistakes if I don't know what the mistakes were. Even if it wasn't a mistake, if it was just, oh yeah, he's old, heart failure, oh it was whatever. Who knows? The quiz sounds interesting tonight. Well, they're not all questions about aquatic reptiles. There are only 4 aquatic reptiles, or classes, or families, or whatever classification we talk about. So it was quite a struggle to get lots of questions about them. So there are other questions as well, so don't worry. I say blame Fluval's UVC. Yeah, well, I did turn it off a while back, just in case. That was one of the comments was, all these problems started when you installed that Fluval UVC. If that's the thing that changed, then that's the thing that's causing the problem. I cannot see how it could be, but just so as I couldn't be accused of not trying everything. And I'm sure I'm now going to be accused of not trying salt, because there was lots of people saying, get salt in there. And I didn't do that yet. That's what I was going to do today. But yeah, I turned the UVC off last week, just in case. Who knows? Not confident for the quiz another night on the airport. Are you a taxi driver? Why are you going to the airport so often? Sorry about Humphrey, sending condolences from Bolton. Thank you very much, Lee. Respect for the video works and all. Could even make one as a retrospective, a bit more in-depth on testing. Well, yeah, if I do go through with the whole fish autopsy thing, then I would probably film that. The thing I was most gutted about was I couldn't find my bloody microscope. I've got, I mean, it's not state of the art or anything, but I've got a microscope that you can plug into your computer so you can see on the big screen, rather than just trying to peer down this tiny little thing. But not also do that, but you can record it. So I could have shared what I was looking for and going, look, that's this type of worm, that's this type of thing. I couldn't see anything at the end of the day, but that's what I thought the value of that video would be, was, this is how you do a scrape, or this is how I do a scrape, and this is how you load a slide, this is how you set up a microscope, all that kind of stuff. But I couldn't show any of that because it was like from 1950 Soviet era microscope that she came home with for me. But it did the job for me to look and make sure that there was nothing going on. So if I can do some kind of video like post-mortem fish stuff, but I've only seen 2. I think there was 2 people that were recommended, or 2 companies that were recommended to approach, and there was very little information on pricing, which always makes me very nervous. That someone offers a service but doesn't advertise the price. That's because the price is ridiculous, and they want you to at least phone them to see what the price is. So we'll see. Aquatic reptiles on mobile, no chance tonight. You never know. Sufyan, a little late, but sorry about your loss. I think flower horns in general will always have some kind of complication due to being a hybrid. I tried my best, nothing could be done to save them. Yeah, I'm sure there will always be something else I could have done, but whether it would have worked or not, I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it. It's a crappy situation, but it is what it is. I have been on a lot of flower horn specific forums and things like that, and it does seem that you have a point there. The flower horns, because they're a hybrid, because they're unnatural, because they're... I had been working off the premise that the average lifespan of a flower horn was 10 to 12 years. But the more I read into it, that seems to be the ideal lifespan of a flower horn is 10 to 12 years. The more realistic, experienced lifespan of a flower horn is 4 to 6 years. So I am within that bracket. But yeah. does that mean? Got a new phone today as well, so it's making lots of noises that I don't know what any of them mean. It's hard to tell what to do when a fish has something internal going on. Very much, yes. Just check. Oh, Scott, thank you very much. Just check the comments for you. There's nothing but condolences so far. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Then I take it back. I should have more faith in the internet. Rebecca says, driving tests are a nightmare. I failed my first one for going into the right-hand lane for the third exit on a roundabout. That doesn't seem like a bad thing, surely? That seems like the right thing to do. Unless the roundabout had 15 exits, I suppose. Yeah, driving tests, they're different as well. So I sat my driving test, obviously, in the olden days. I think I'm old enough now to say that, where it was just a driving test. You went out and you did your driving test. And then I sat my motorbike test when the theory test had come in, so you had to go and do your theory test ahead of that. And that, having already been a driver for a number of years before doing that, I was a bit like, what? Do what rule? I don't understand any of this. Again, the driving test seems like on my driving test, we got stuck in traffic and my driving examiner fell asleep. So I don't know whether I passed my driving test because my examiner was too embarrassed to admit that he'd fallen asleep and that he'd missed some of it, or because I was a good driver. I like to think I'm a good driver, but I was robbed of having it proved. It was very much oh shit, we're coming up to the end of a road and I don't know whether to go left or right. I don't want to wake him up because that's rude. It's just like, oh, hello. And then he's giving it I can't wait. Make a left at the end of this road, Graham. So, that was fun. Our plan is Monday is a fish shop tour before coming home. She has my credit card for emergency, so I'm half expecting some purchases from Pierre. That's dangerous. Passed my first time, could never pass now. Yeah, I think I'd be probably in the same boat, Brian. Her insurance was on a 14 Clio, was £30 a month while learning, and then when she passed it went to £2,000 for the year. Jesus. Oh, I knew it was a mistake to have 3 kids. I'm never going to be able to afford this. I will never financially recover from having children. £2,000 insurance now would be cheap. Quotes for small cars are at least £2,500. Anything decent is 3 or 4. My daughter just tried basic electric car and over £6,000. I'm just making noises now. I didn't realise it was that bad. When I was that age, I couldn't wait to pass my driving test. That was since I was like 12. I wanted to drive a car. It was all I wanted to do. So to be in the situation where you pass the bloody test, but you just can't afford the bloody insurance. Oh, it must be awful. So I'm going to need to get some like class 20 insurance car, old banger type thing for the kids to all have as their first car. Brian's crammed on all the Carry On Doctor movies. Sorry, that I'm sure that wasn't the thing we went for. Insurance went up recently. In general, mine's £900 plus a black box for a Vauxhall Adam. A Vauxhall Adam? What the hell's a Vauxhall Adam? You're not even just 17 though. That must be worse if you're just 17. There's a car I did not know existed. Insurance group 2 or 3 depending on the model. Oh yeah, so I've got that wrong. It's wrong way around. It's the lower the number, the better. Yeah. So my car, for comparison, is an insurance group 27. So if you're paying £900 with a black box for an insurance group 2, and my kids want to try driving my car, I think I pay about £300 a year for insurance. Maybe £350 for that car and then group 27. And I'm an idiot. I think it's people driving a while which are higher risk. I see some awful driving for those who haven't been driving a long time. Well, what? Honestly, I think it's people driving a while which are much higher risk. I think that too. Like me, I think I'm amazing at driving. But especially old people, they're the ones that get me at the moment. I take my kids to school every morning, and there's a part of the road that you can fit 2 cars down either side, but it's tight. And the amount of old people who just like da 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 in the middle, full speed, don't care who's coming, I'm coming through, I'm sure it's fine. You're like, oh, millimeters, but evasive manoeuvres. So it's old people for me, because I think young people are a lot more sensible these days than they were when I was a young person. I think I'm from like the golden generation of idiot young people. If you want them in a jar, I can preserve them for you, or give you instructions how to pickle a fish. I wondered how long it would be before you suggested I put them in a jar. Then I could make the joke on myself and say that tank's far too small. I don't know that I want to preserve them for any particular reason. But it was also just a bit of a, I don't know what to do. I just didn't feel right chucking them in the bin. Who knows? Who knows? Always hard. I keep discus and I hate losing any when it happens. Yeah. Again, somebody said to me earlier, is it because I was so expensive to buy? I mean, flower horns in general can be expensive, but I don't think I paid for that fish. I'm pretty sure somebody sent them to me for free. Or at a reduced rate. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But I had a show discus once. I remember when I got a promotion at work, I went out and I bought myself a show discus that had won the Belgium Open show or something like that. Hundreds of pounds. And it was like my prized possession, and it got a hole in the head and died. I was gutted, don't get me wrong, but I didn't feel like this. It was more of a wasted investment rather than my pet. Whereas this is more, my pet. Silver Creek, a bit late, but still stunningly handsome and present. If you say so. If he died quickly, at least any fluid issues will show in the body. Decayed fishies, ugh. He probably doesn't pong as much as some fishies either, yeah. Insurance while learning is relatively cheap, but once they pass, it's just silly. I'm not sure any young driver will afford electric vehicles. Then again, they do 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. Yeah. So yeah, I was looking at a new car recently. This is something I can't get my head around. There are people trying to tell me, so I've got a Golf GTE at the moment that's my car that I pay for out of my pocket, or paid for. It's my personal car, but I've been offered a company car, and there are people trying to tell me it's cheaper for me to get a Porsche as a company car than buy my own car. I feel like I should be sent to jail for swindling, tax dodging, some kind of thing. So it's a salary sacrifice scheme. where the benefit in kind for an electric car is so good that because of the Sally's sacrifice tax savings and the benefit in kind tax savings, I can get a Porsche cheaper than I could get a Golf. Don't understand it. Ooh, pardon me. Who knows? Airport is a mate flying from London who spends 10:05ish, who arrives at 10:05, so I pick him up so he doesn't have to spend 50 quid in the taxi. Oh, very nice. I've had a UV in my 375 for several years. The fish are all healthy and no algae. Yeah, I can't see how a UV could cause problems, other than mechanically, if it breaks and stops the water flowing and you get an ammonia spike. So yeah, that could be the thing. Rob Barry, good evening. The only aquatic reptiles I know are crocodiles, alligators, caimans and turtles. Well, I'm not sure of the definition, if I'm honest, but I don't think alligators count, and I don't know why. Snakes, there are marines. Right, I'll give you all a clue here. There are 4 groups. I almost meant there are 4 groups. There are 4 groups. Sea turtles, sea snakes, marine iguanas, and saltwater crocodiles. There are things that spend a lot of time in and around water, but they are the 4 species, families, of whatever, of aquatic reptiles. There you go. You might get the answer to one question now. Anacondas spend a lot of time. Yeah, so there's lots of things that spend a lot of time in water, and I think that's where alligators come under that. It spends a lot of time in water, but isn't aquatic. I think there are 2 groups of marine snakes, and then some semi-aquatic freshwater snakes, and elephant trunk snake, or the dragon snake, which is fully aquatic. I did look this up earlier, and this might be one of the questions. But yes, there are some snakes that they need to go on land to lay eggs, but they go all the other time they're in the water. They're the true aquatic ones, or I can't remember now. That's your homework for tonight, everyone, is go and look up aquatic snakes. But there are various things that are and aren't, and they seem to be exactly the same things. I used to live with a green/standard anaconda. It was 14 to 16 foot. Whoa. What do you mean you used to live with it? Is that like a name for an ex-girlfriend or something? I used to share a house with someone who had a Burmese python. No. Reticulated python? Oh, forget what it was now. A big massive snake. And it just had a floor to itself in the attic. Just roamed about. No vivarium. Just crack on. Rats were like a small snack to it. I used to get chickens and things. That was enormous, that thing. But I don't think it was 14 to 16 feet enormous. Ichthyosaurus, or are we talking more modern? Nah, there you go. That is an aquatic reptile. It's not a dinosaur. That's something I learned today as well. We're more concentrating on the ones that are still alive. And we can't forget the Loch Ness Monster, quite right. A dog ran out of me in front of me on my driving test. Did you pass? Did you kill a dog? I think you're meant to stop for dogs but not cats. Was that the rule? Which just seemed very harsh. Poor cats. You're allowed in the right lane for going past 12 o'clock. Then if you exit into the right lane, if there are 2 lanes on the exit. Fail if change lanes in the roundabout and exit in the left lane. Changing lanes in the roundabout, that was the one that my driving instructor was always very... No, you must stay here until this point of the roundabout, and then that's when you move out to get off the roundabout. Whereas nowadays it's just, meh, go for it. First time I ever drove in snow was in my driving test. Oh, that would have been fun. Being from Scotland, I was quite used to driving in snow. Just popping in, Graham, calendar is being delivered next week. Thank you, Phil. So there you go. As soon as the calendars come to me, anyone who has bought one, I will ship them out. That's probably a good time to say, ding, 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 calendars. If you are interested in supporting some charities, it's not all doom and gloom in this podcast. YouTube have got me now. They keep telling me, they keep sending me emails about my podcast, and I'm like, what podcast? It's this. This is what they mean. We're going to get dangerous tonight. The Kingslayer. 8% alcohol by volume, double IPA. So, as you know, every year we do, not a giveaway, we do a charity drive, a fundraising drive. This year we are raising money for the Amazon Research Centre for Ornamental Fishies. Dr. Awesome, as you may know him. Dr. Awesome's wife reached out to me. I should really reply to that, so I only just saw it today. So we need to get Dr. Awesome a calendar because he wants a physical, or she wants a physical copy. So I have to figure out how to do that. That's fine. And as well as them, we are raising money for the Freshwater Life Project. So the idea is, we've got a Just Giving page, which I'm sure I can find a link for somewhere. If you don't want a calendar, you're not interested in my crappy photography, but you are interested in either of those charities, send some money to the GoFundMe, or just... I've just realised something. I set up a GoFundMe, didn't I? And last year it was a Just Giving page. So, side note, they keep sending me money. So, although some people have made donations to the GoFundMe, they send me like £4 one day, then £6.26 the next day, and then £3.11 the next day. And I'm like, what is going on here? Last year they just sent it straight to the charity, so you just put in the charity details and they send it and they sort it out. You don't have to worry about anything. But they're sending it to me now. I've just realised it's because last year was a Just Giving page, this year's a GoFundMe page. So you're funding me, so you have to rely on me being honest that I'll send it all to them. And I will. I'll show the receipts and stuff, don't worry. Is that what Donald Trump says? But I will. So where was I? Yes, we're doing good causes. All the money that we raise, whether it's from you given to the GoFundMe, buying a calendar, there's a digital copy if you want to buy the digital copy and go to your local printer and get it printed out if you live in the States or Canada or Australia or wherever. Physical copy, which we'll post out to you in a week or two. Take all that money and we will collate it early in the new year and send it off to these two good causes. Hopefully we'll get Dr. Awesome on as a guest on the live stream one time. We can tell you a bit more in person about what they're doing at the Ornamental Research Centre for Ornamental Fishies, other than giving it a stupidly long name. I have also emailed and reached out to a couple of ways. Chris Inglezu, who does some work with the Freshwater Life Project, see if they want to go on and say anything about what they're doing. But it's not a condition of the raising money for them. We'll give them the money, whatever. So, if you are interested, you've got a mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, auntie that's into fish and think they might like that as a wee stocking filler Christmas gift, that could do that job. Or if you'd like it, you could give it to your significant other and say, oh, why don't you buy me one of these for Christmas? Or if you just want it for yourself, you can just buy it for yourself. While you're on the website, it is Black Friday. It would be remiss of me to say let Black Friday go past without saying there is a discount available. So all the food has 25% off at the moment. There is a code you need. If you don't know what that code is, let me know and I'll tell you. I'm just trying to remember where I wrote it down. I tried something new. I tried to set up an email campaign yesterday, and it all went horribly wrong. So you may or may not have got an email about this already. That's alright. Looks like a cup of brain shrimp. So the codes are... Let me see if I can figure this out while we're talking to you. Marketing, that'll be the ones. It's 25% off all food this weekend only. And the codes are BF for Black Friday, 2023 for the year, food, as in fish food. That will get you 25% off all fish food. There's also BF 2023 merch. I should have something flashing up on screen here. Will one of the mods please write this in the comments somewhere so it looks right. BF 2023 food and BF 2023 merch. 25% off all food, 10% off all merch. This weekend only as a Black Friday. The reason I've taken 25% off all food is because I went to put an order in for some new food and all the prices have gone up, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to put the prices up. So this is, well, we still got the remaining stock that I have got, a bit of a softener that if you want to try the food but you weren't thinking of buying for a month or two, in a month or two the price is probably going to have gone up. So get in there quick. That's all I can say. How far? Oh my goodness! I'm back at 9:24 and we're at 9:42. Yeesh. Right, let's see if we can skip through a little bit. I'm sorry, like this. Get them into a car like the in-betweeners, then they won't want to learn to drive. Old bangers cost more to... Oh yeah, I did hear that actually. You need to get just something that's rubbish rather than an old banger. Profession changes a lot. Student costs the most. Oh, for your insurance, yeah. I used to work for an insurance company, but I worked in IT for an insurance company. So we used to always go and say to the brokers, right, how can I get my car insurance cheaper? Tell them you're a teacher and that you're this, that. No, it wasn't a teacher. I can't remember what the professions were, but there was like... sales was bad because you were seen to be like out on the road all the time, partying and all that kind of stuff. So if you said you were a salesman, that was never going to be good. Hey, now, old people, well, I mean really old people. This kind of old people. I passed at 17, I'll be 52 really soon, and I've only written off one car. Well, touch wood, I passed at 17, I'll be 40 something next birthday, and I haven't written off any cars yet. We were the generation of young and daft, fearless with hot hatches. Yeah. Yeah. I just remember going shopping for my first car. The things that I was looking for, I was like, I wanted a Nova SRI or GTE or an Astra GTE, an Escort. I mean, I limited my horizons. I didn't want an Escort RS2000 or anything like that, but I wanted an XR3i, a Golf GTI. It was just all a Peugeot GTI, and I ended up with like a Citroen. What was it even called? Citroen ZX. I was just like the king of compromises. Yeah, it's a Citroen ZX Furio. So it wasn't even the top of the line one, but it was like this kind of sporty one. And the day after I got it, I think, I went to get out and the door handle came off in my hand. And I went back to the garage like, oh, bought this car yesterday, door handle came off my hand. They went, yeah, it's French. And I, being 17-year-olds, like, oh, right, so that's a feature then, is it? Okay. Company cars are, yeah, but this is ridiculously easy. I don't get how me already having a car that isn't costing me anything is more expensive than me buying a Porsche. How does that work? Just get an electric Golf and save even what I've got. An electric Golf. Well, it's a hybrid Golf. Right, sorry, I was doing something. On a side note, what is the chair you're sitting on? Oh, it's got a fancy name. Whatever it is you think it is it. But I'm pretty sure it's stolen. Basically, I got it off Facebook Marketplace, where somebody said, "I'm selling this." I can't remember the name of the chair. Such and such chair, and I had been looking at them. They were like £200-300 for a chair, and I think this guy wanted like 65, and I was like, And I went to his house, and he had like 6 of them all boxed up in his front room, and what was it? Oh, what was the name of the company? I'm going to say Argos, but it wasn't Argos. He had an Argos delivery drive on his front drive and an Argos delivery shirt. And I was just like, clearly stolen. And he's like, no, I just bought them, but I didn't like them. Like, it's not even been unpacked yet. Oh, okay. So yeah, stolen goods. Sorry. Probably. Maybe. Stop for dogs for 2 reasons. Dogs need a license, and they're big enough to damage the car enough to hurt the occupants. That's my first ever job, was as van boy. If you remember the company Comet, like the Currys of today. Well, Currys were around at the time, but they were a competitor to Currys. Electrical goods. This in the old days, Rebecca. And they had, I used to do deliveries, so when I was at school, I had a Saturday job working as a salesman, and I was this height and size when I was 15. So they were like, we should really get you working in the store. So they put me out as the van boy. We used to go driving around doing deliveries all weekend. It was great. I loved it. It's one of my favourite jobs I've ever done, and I've done a lot of jobs since then. But we used to go around delivering fridges, washing machines, freezers, white goods basically, and take away the old ones, which we were meant to take to the tip, but we would take to a second-hand shop and sell them all. So I was like 16, earning £200 a weekend, which in those days was a hell of a lot of money. Why am I telling this story? Oh, so I was a van boy, so that meant I sat in the van while the van driver drove us around everywhere, and I just helped hump things upstairs, basically. And in the same day, he hit a cat and a dog. And he hit the dog first. It just ran out. He wasn't going out looking for them. It ran out in front of us. He hit it, screeched a halt. Oh no! Ran out, grabbed it, trying to find the owner. We took it to a police station. Said, "Oh, we've hit this dog. I need to report. We've hit this dog." And I had no idea what was going on. And then later on that day, just driving along, and a cat ran out in front of it, and it went. And he went, "It's just a cat." And I was like, what? Can't do that. But he educated me that, yeah, cats don't count. June says, I've raised $75 for the Amazon Research Centre. Right, it's a competition, is it? Fine. So go and check out Only Oscar's channel and contribute to that fundraiser as well. I got an email. Yep. email was, oh, great. Yeah, it wasn't meant to include my home address, for instance, as one of the cock-ups. So, if you want to visit me, at least you know where to go now. There you go. BF 2023 food, 25% off food. BF 2023 merch, 10% off merch. You have an American merch site, very cool, but not for a towel. Oh, I'm sure they probably could do a towel. So the merch that we're talking about here is off my website, which is the merch that Phil, who was on earlier, who's doing the calendars, does. It's this. It's the embroidered hoodies, hats, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. But Spreadshirt, I also have a Spreadshirt site for international merch, which has a few extra things. I got a D-Reg Nova SR day after I got an apprenticeship. Yeah, that was like me. So, out doing my 200 quid a weekend van boy job, saving up all my money, pass my test, big wad of cash, get me into a hot hatch. That was all I wanted, and I ended up in a bloody Citroen ZX. XR3i has too many problems. The battery, as if I cared about rust and things like that. I'm pretty sure most of the cars I drove before, I spent a good portion of my life as an adult. This isn't even just when I was 17. This was when I moved down here. I would buy. I'd set myself challenges. So I'd set myself a challenge of. I had 3 rules. I think it was 3 rules. Never spend more than £100. Never buy a car with over 100,000 miles. And never buy a car with less than 6 months MOT. And my rationale was I couldn't hire a car for the same price as I could buy something that had 6 months left on its MOT and just run it until it died. And I got some great cars. I got a Saab 900 Turbo. I got some shit cars as well. I got an Escort 1.4L Estate, which was actually the most reliable car I had for a while, but boring as hell. A VW Sirocco GTI. I had all kinds of things where I'd just get them on eBay, and that was my search results, or my search filter criteria was less than £100, less than 100,000 miles, more than 6 months left on its MOT, and I'd buy it. And I don't think I ever got a car that didn't last me at least a month, if not 2 or 3. And they were always great fun to drive. Sketchy as hell, because they were in every occasion being sold because something had gone horrifically wrong with them. Like the brakes have gone, or a wheel has fallen off, or whatever it is. But I could like duct tape, gaffer tape with glue and hope, and would get it through another 6 months of driving. And it was cheap as hell. Can you imagine paying, if I wanted to go out and buy a decent second-hand used car, I'd be paying well more than £100 a month. So it just made sense in my mind. I did that for years. And did that until I got like proper responsibilities where I had to do things and be places. And that was great fun. Oh god, we've only got 6 minutes till the quiz, right? Quiz. We shall play the quiz. Hosting the quiz. 137. That's the one. Classic host. Random question order. Allow late joining. Host. There we go. Right. Where's my chat gone? If you want to play the quiz, that is the link you will need. Kingslayer's quite nice as well. I've an itch to try a small saltwater tank, but using an oversized canister for filtration. Any tips, as I know you've kept marine, as I watched a beardless Graham talking about saltwater tanks. I did keep a saltwater tank, a couple of them. Both the ones I had internal sumps, but I've definitely seen people use canister filters for filtration as well. I think people tend to go with sumps for marine because there's more equipment with marine. So your sump is your filter, but then you have a skimmer and your heaters and all that, and you can hide it down there and just have the display tank for the fish and the rock and the corals and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can definitely get away with it with a big canister will be fine. I had my first car for 15 years, a 72 VW Bug. Loved working on it. Yeah, well, that was one of the ones that I had for my short time. I think that might have been the shortest lived one that I had, where I think we had it for a couple of months. And the engine literally fell out of it because it just rusted clean through. It's like one day, got in the car, started it up, went to move, and is the handbrake? No, why is it not moving? Got out and looked, and the engine was just sitting on the ground. It just, boom, falling out. Shark Fin Adventures, hi y'all. Did I miss a game? No, you did not. It is about to start. We're 3 minutes away. I've always wanted a VW Beat It Bug. These days I have a VW T5 transporter. Oh, that was fit. I have a VW Caddy Maxi Life. How cool am I? That's my wife's car, or my other car. I so wanted a transporter. We went and we got a transporter, but the house we lived in at the time, it wouldn't fit on the drive. Oh no, it's done it again. It's kicked us out. So there seems to be a theme here where it kicks us out every now and again. I'm going to have to play the new link. Sorry everyone, you'll have just been kicked out. New link, I've just posted it. We will start in 2 minutes time on the new link, the second link that I posted. Yeah, the house that I lived in at the time, you couldn't fit a transporter on the drive. So it was ruled it. Pardon me, it was ruled out on that basis. Delivering seems quite interesting. I thought that was my calling in life, was be a delivery driver. I still have dreams now of being a delivery driver. Just sitting in the car, with my own company. I'm in a truck when I'm doing this. I imagine I'm a truck driver. Listening to my music, listening to my podcast, listening to my own thoughts rather than anything else. Just pootling up and down the motorways, country roads, all that kind of stuff. Oh, sounds great. Are you meant to report when you get a granny and a granddad? Just the granddads, I think. Grannies are fine. Or, as Clark says, only if they damage your car. I can remember back in the day it was cheaper to go and buy a second-hand wheel with an old tyre on it than to buy new tyres. I had to get my car MOT'd recently, and it needed 2 new tyres for the MOT, and I was in a time crunch, so I took it to it's usually quite a reasonable place, but I need 2 tyres. Yep, no problem. The ones we've only got the mid-range ones. Is that going to be okay? And I was like, normally they say we've only got the premium ones because it's what we've got in stock. So I was like, mid-range, yeah, that's fine. Like, that'll be £191 each. I was like, each? How big are the tyres? It's a Golf, not a monster truck. Parked up so many comments. I was shouting at the radio on answer. My first car was a Nova SR and then upgraded to an AX GTI, then a ZX Furio 2. The ZX had rear wheel steering, so handled on rails. Yeah, I don't think mine was a real Furio because I don't remember it having rear wheel steering. I think I might have had a Furio badge rather than actually being a Furio. Be a fish courier, that's what I could do. Right, are we ready for the quiz, people? I said I would start on time. Let's go, little face. Oh, uh-oh, we've done something wrong. Right, we're going to have to do live fixing of OBS. That's kind of fixed it. If I do this now. There we go, that's close enough. Right, are we ready, everyone? We've got 21 people. As always, the answers are what I think is right, or the thing that I saw, rather than the actual right answer. So, don't give me any of your crap. 3, 2, 1, go! What is ophidiophobia a fear of? I seem to be quite big. I can move me out the way a wee bit. What is ophidiophobia the fear of? Is it doctors, loud noises, storms, or snakes? What are you afraid of? This Kingslayer, by the way, went down too good for an 8% beer. It is, of course, snakes. Who would have guessed it? Timbo got that one right. That counts as a reptile question, right? Yeah? Which of these nuts is not a nut? Is it the cashew, the hazelnut, the chestnut, or the walnut? I'm going to have to crawl out of this fish room tonight. What nut's not a nut? It is, of course, a cashew. It's not a nut. We're on to Future Skies 6% Citrus IPA. Gas Musk got that one, followed by Monkey Cheese. The term Black Friday was coined in which US city? Was it Philadelphia, New York, Miami, or Boston? Coined because it's what that city's police department described after the riots of people going shopping. It was Philadelphia. Of course it was Thanksgiving this weekend for all our American friends. What body part was successfully transplanted this week for the first time? That should have said. Is it the hand, the penis, the brain, or the eye of a person? It was, of course, the eye. Oh, that's quite nice. Refreshing. Which is the largest reptile in the world? Is it the alligator, the monitor lizard, the sea turtle, or a saltwater croc? This week, I didn't see it in the news. It might have been last week. I think I said recently, didn't I? Hopefully. It's the saltwater croc. That counts as one of my aquatic reptile questions. And Timbo only got that fourth quickest, so, choose your specialist subject carefully. Which bank locked customers out of accounts, leaving some customers furious they were unable to make their Black Friday purchases? Was it NatWest, Nationwide, Barclays, or HSBC? Apologies to American, Australian, European viewers who don't know what any of these banks are. Give you a clue. It's HSBC. I was right, it was HSBC. So all the HSBC customers getting that one correct. Question 7. How many million turkeys are cooked in the USA for Thanksgiving? Now remember, normally one turkey will serve a lot of people. Three people got that right. Only 46 million, because you might have a lot of people around and only have one turkey. Well done, not Christine. Christine, they're definitely not the same person, I'm sure. How many extant groups of aquatic reptiles are there? I gave you the answer to this earlier. And still, many of you got that wrong. It's 12, of course it is. No, it's 4, and 12 of you got it right. That's what I meant to say. Well done, Timbo. Nice to see you at the top. Juggler, doing well there. Juggler taking the lead. Which country has the most pyramids? This is an interesting one, this Future Skies. It's very fresh and citrusy, but it looks beige as all hell. Nice punch though. It is indeed Sudan. My wife wrote that question. Halfway point, question 10. What has the largest eyes in the world? Is it Jean-Claude Van Damme, a giant squid, an ostrich, or a blue whale? It's the giant squid. Well done, everyone. Oh dear. Question 11. On this day in what year did D.B. Cooper hijack a plane and fortune before disappearing forever? D.B. Cooper. So it stole a fortune, stole a plane, jumped out of the plane, and was never seen again. In what year? So November the 24th. What year? You'd never heard of D.B. Cooper? There's TV series, films, all kinds of stuff to talk about. A very interesting story. 1971. The world's biggest iceberg started moving this week after 30 years of being stationary, but how big is it? Is it 800 square miles? Is it 1500 square miles? Is it 150 square miles? Or is it 3,500 square miles? It's 1,500 square miles. A baby rhino was born at Chester Zoo recently. How long is a rhino's gestation period? I.e., how long was that mummy rhino pregnant? "15 months. Well done, everyone. What are the names of the Thanksgiving turkeys pardoned by Joe Biden this year? Is it Ant and Dec, Hope and Freedom, Brittany and Taylor, or Liberty and Bell? Every year, apparently, the president pardons a turkey that was going to be killed to be eaten. This year, he did 2. And I want you to tell me their names. I really wanted it to be Ant and Dec, but it was Liberty and Bell. Juggler, despite not really being here, still on top. What country is this? Is it India, Ukraine, Australia? That's an accent, people. Or Canada? The country's easy, is it? I bet you someone still gets it wrong. Yep. Oh, pardon me. Right, SFA and Christine, you've got some catching up to do. You've got 4 questions to do it. You're probably the only ones that can catch Juggler. What is the largest aquatic reptile? No, that's not what it says. Which aquatic reptile has been around the longest? The sea snake, the marine iguana, the sea turtle, or the crocodile? What is the oldest aquatic reptile, basically? There's some argument to this, so it could be one of 2. I'm choosing what Wikipedia said, which was the crocodile. There are some people who are starting to claim that sea turtle was actually around longer, but it's new evidence, people, come on. Which of the following have not been to space? A chicken, a turtle, a dog, or a chimp? This counts as an aquatic reptile question because it's one of the potential answers. It's not the real answer, but it's a potential answer. It's a chicken. Turtles have been to space. Question 18. What was the first film to gross $1 billion at the box office? Star Wars, Titanic, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, or Spider-Man 3? Did they not eat them in space? Nah, Rebecca's trying to get me on a technicality here. Because that's probably true. Maybe I should have said live animals. It was, of course, Titanic. Lord of the Rings was another billion-dollar film, but came after Titanic. Juggler with, I think, an unassailable lead now. What country has this flag? Luxembourg, Croatia, France, or Russia? It's France. Penultimate question. So I think if Juggler gets the next two questions wrong and someone else gets them right, there's a chance. What has the strongest bite of any living animal? Is it a gorilla, a crocodile, a grizzly bear, or a hippo? Again, this is another controversial one because some sources say it's a great white shark. Some sources say it's this animal. So I took out great white shark. It's a crocodile. Saltwater crocodiles have more force that way than any other animal. Bite force rather than how long they can hold it. Juggler, well done. But one wrap of gaffer tape to stop them opening their mouths. Juggler, 269 points. Well, that must have been a tough one this week because we got over 300 points last week, I think. SFA, 213 points. And Timbo, who chose the specialist subject, in third place with 189 points. So, Juggler, if you're not already driving, you get to choose a specialist subject for next week again. Again, the rules on your specialist subject is something that would qualify for Mastermind specialist subject. Whatever you want, doesn't have to be fish related, can be if you want, but it's fine. You have done it. You don't have to let me know right now. If you want to let me know right now, that's fine, but get in touch soon, because I like to let everyone know so they can do a bit of studying, as if anyone actually does that. Did we get past the 50%? We did not get past the 50%. Right, so next week's quiz has to be a bit easier. That's another of my unofficial rules, is if we get more than 50% correct, I can put in a couple of trickier questions. If we get less than 50% correct, I'll put in a couple of easier questions. Pardon me. But with the most amount of correct answers, a deserving winner for an extra applause and maybe even an air horn. Juggler with 13 questions correct. The next best was 12 with Christine all the way down in 5th place. Look at that. SGH 10 all the way down there with 10 questions correct. Well done, everyone. I wanted to do something, didn't I? Right, so there we go. DB Cooper. So you can read about DB Cooper, but loads of films, TV series all have a character in it who's essentially DB Cooper, but basically hijacked a flight, got on the flight and said, I'll land the flight if you give me, I think it was $250,000, was it? $200,000, equivalent to $1.4 million in 2022. I want $200,000 and 4 parachutes. And then he landed the plane, got the 4 parachutes and the £200,000, let everyone off the plane, but made them refuel and take off again. And the reason he took 4 parachutes was to make everyone else think that he was going to crash the plane and give them all parachutes so they could land. But no, just took his duffel bag of money and jumped out the back of the plane, never to be seen again. So there's whole conspiracy theory on conspiracy theory to who he actually is, what his name was. So the hijacker himself identified himself as Dan Cooper, but got confused with another subject, and ever since has been known as DB Cooper, even though he didn't say that. He's meant to have popped up in various guises over the years, where people said, "Oh, that's DB Cooper," but no one could ever tell. But anyway, that was it. An interesting aside. One of the websites I used to write the quiz is On This Day in History. So that's why I used On This Day. Because today's the day that DB Cooper, whoever DB Cooper is, did his thing. And people are still, there's the whole, as much as I say, loads of TV shows and everything include a character that's basically DB Cooper, because it's an interesting story, there are whole teams of people out looking for his money because they think the reason he's never been found, because nobody could ever not come forward, the reason he's never been found is because he crashed and died and his parachute didn't open. So they're all looking for this $200,000 or whatever it is. And some people say it's over Nevada, some people say it's over all these different areas where it's quite... I'm surprised no one's made a TV series that you've all seen. Like it's got Netflix documentary all over it. Right, anyway, where do we get to? Great white shark is probably bite force but can't hold, a bit like some dogs can't hold. Yeah, I couldn't get to the bottom of it, because if you Google what animal has the greatest bite force, the first result says saltwater crocodile, and then when you click on the link it says the great white shark's got the greatest bite, and you're like, what? And then another one says in PSI, it's like it's got great white shark at 3000 PSI, saltwater crocodile at 2900, and then you read on further down the article and it's like, in lab conditions an orca was recorded with a bite force of 19,000 PSI, and you're like, well, surely that's the great... what? So I don't know. 80s hot hatches. I've got to go 5G for the win. Well, that's one thing. I'm now a proud owner of a 5G handset. I've not noticed it being any faster yet. But thank you, Scott, for the recommendation. The Nothing phone was one of the phones I was looking at, but I couldn't see it in my budget. But there was a Black Friday thing came up with it. Just crept in under £300. So I'm wirelessly charging it now for the first time in my life. Have I ever wirelessly charged something? Pardon me. Pepper, nice game. Thank you, Pepper, for joining in. It's always a bit of fun. Lots of docs on YouTube about him. It is fascinating. I think it's fascinating. I think it's fascinating more because one of the theories is that he used his money to invest in a load of media empires and then used his influence to create this narrative, and that it's all fake. None of it ever happened. It's just some guy who may or may not have hijacked a plane, may or may not have got some money, and may or may not have bought some newspapers or media outlets, then goes on to create loads of fake narratives about conspiracy theories upon conspiracy theories of his own thing. It's fun. People to this day are still looking for DB's treasure. They are indeed. Could it really be collective hallucination? It could be. That's another of the many explanations. DB Cooper was Loki. Watch the Loki series. It explains it well. Yeah. That's just another example of DB Cooper showing up in mainstream media. I say that like I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm very disappointed in the lack of Doctor Who questions, given tomorrow is the big day. Oh, I do apologise. I don't feel like I'm enough of an authority. Not that I'm an authority on anything else, But I've just never been able to get into Doctor Who, so I've kind of missed it all. Which bank would swap the cash if found? Very true. I think it's more the cachet of having found D.B. Cooper's fortune rather than exchanging it for monetary value. The first season when they show him past events from his life. Well, is it not? When I thought it was the second season was the one where they had D.B. Cooper in it. I cannot remember. Oh, it's the first episode of the first series. Shows you what I know. I'm not going to watch it because I'll get copyright struck again. But if you're interested, Loki is D.B. Cooper, plane scene. Season 1, Episode 1. Could the bite force be the distribution of the force? It would depend on how it's being measured. I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know. Juggler says, I'm still here because he's landed and in no way am I paying for airport parking, so parked in some side street waiting for him. Scott says, I'm glad you liked it. Well, so far, so good. I must admit, my old phone, which was a Xiaomi Mi Mate 9T Pro, which I got in 2019 as like a flagship killer, has served me well for the last 4 years, but here it is for comparison. That's the two side by side. So it's the same size, so it's a form factor I'm used to. I can hold it, but a bit lighter, so much faster. It's like, oh yeah, apps don't need 30 seconds to open. But it's taken me a while to get used to everything, so it's got... Design seems to be the main thing, so I don't know if you can see the back of it. You can see the gubbins inside. I've got a case on, so maybe you can't see it quite as well. But if you, for instance... got the little charger icon, and all these lines all light up, and you can assign them to different things to mean different things. That's quite cool. Yeah, it's just a well-spec'd phone. Doesn't have anything too fancy, but everything's just good enough. But what galls me is that I paid £300 for this on a Black Friday deal, and it's still classed as a mid-range phone. You're like, what? Why? This is the same as the driving insurance argument. I used to think of spending £300 on a phone as just ridiculous, because you can spend £100 on a phone and get a phone that will pretty much do everything here. It might not have quite as much storage space, it might not be quite as fast, but it'll do all the same things. So you're like, why so expensive? Just because things have to be expensive. I'm getting all Scottish in my old age. But I had oh, that's what that does. I've just learned how to take a screenshot. My criteria was I needed NFC because I use it to pay for things a lot. I set up my Google wallets on here. I needed a decent camera because I want to use it for more fish photography and fish videos and things like that. And dual SIM because I'm not carrying around two phones, one for work, one for me. So I've got two SIMs and just decent specs, I guess was the next one. I was looking at a Google Pixel 7, which looks good, and a Xiaomi M5 Pro, round about the same price. But I just like all the little features about this. This is, and I think I've bought into it because I used to be a big fan of OnePlus. So the guy who founded this company used to be the boss of OnePlus. So I had a OnePlus 3 and a OnePlus 5. And I liked them because they were flagship killers. That was the best specification phone you could get for the lowest possible price. So people who had the equivalent iPhones or Samsung Galaxies or whatever at the time, my OnePlus was like, no, this is way better than that. And it cost half as much. He's the man who did this, but he's obviously gone for, rather than being the best specs in the world, it's good enough specs and good design. Because if you take this, and I don't know whether I'm happy about this or disappointed about it, but when you take the cover off and you just look at the phone itself, that is an iPhone. Looking at it from that angle, that's an iPhone. They've clearly copied the whole aluminium bezel, glass front, glass back, but then, okay, it is an iPhone, but has an iPhone got that? We're showing you all the innards. So there's your wireless charging module, there's all your Wi-Fi, your camera, all the bits are there, and it's kind of cool. And the fact that it's stock Android with nothing, zero bloatware, which is one of the things Android, all the other companies seem to do is put their own crap all over it. You know, like, it's a very nice phone. So I'm happy about that. That was my Black Friday purchase this year. I was a bit like, ugh. So all of you who watched the Temu video, thank you. You bought me that phone. You enabled me to buy that phone. And I would have just made this phone last forever, but I dropped it last week. Smashed the back glass, and bits of glass keep falling out into my ear, and I'm like, oh, why is my ear bleeding? Because I smashed the glass. This was a great phone. Served me well. When I bought this phone, everyone was like, oh, it's amazing, but it's got one of those cameras. The selfie camera pops up from here. Oh, the camera will never last. Still going strong. So, oh, you lot. Anyway, slight diversions into the world of mobile phones. But thank you, Scott. It was on my wish list. I just didn't think I could afford it, because I think you can still buy the white version of this is still £450, and if you buy it on a off Black Friday, it's £550. Like, ridiculous. Rebecca's watched Doctor Who, but it aired before 2010. I think crucially it aired after 2010 as well. I bet you she has no idea who Sylvester McCoy is or any of those people. No better time to start Doctor Who than tomorrow, if not the original restart of it. Well, I did listen to an interview with David Tennant and Russell Davies, is it? The guy who writes it all? I think David Tennant's coming back, as is somebody else. And there's a whole... It's like a reset, yeah, like you say. Maybe I'll watch it, I don't know. It's just never been my thing. That would have been a good test. Which doctor did this? I just don't know enough about it. Rebecca has watched it since Christopher Eccleston. I'm just trying to find out when he became the Doctor. 2005. That's pre-2010. But crucially, post-2000. Doctor Who is returning properly, not naff Doctor Who either. I used to work for EE, so I always got the latest Samsung flagship at a huge discount. We're going to finish off in style, folks, with my favourite, Northern Monk Heathen. Yeah, I can't believe phones cost what they cost. To the point where I think it must be some kind of tax write-off or something. That's the only reason phones can cost that much. So I've got people like at work who are like, "Oh, I have to have an Android for my work phone. Oh, it's so disappointing. Whereas my iPhone's so much better." And I'm like, why? In what way is it so much better? Use it for the same functions and they function the same way on that thing. It just I don't get it. Oh. You get what you pay for with phones, like laptops. I don't know. I think you used to. You definitely used to. But I think phones seem to be, because although I haven't changed my phone in a long time, I've bought phones for my kids, I've bought phones for other people, I keep in touch with what's going on in the market, but my old phone did everything I needed it to do except stop cutting me in the face. That was the only reason I changed it. It now does all those things a little bit faster, which is nice, and it now makes loads of new noises and lights up differently and all those kind of things. It has wireless charging, great, but it did ever.
Here you go.
Shush, Alexa, quiet. It did everything, whereas my experience with computers is maybe not laptops, because I don't know that I use laptops as more like a tablet, I guess. So when I want to do something, I'll set my desktop, which is reasonably powerful. If I want to edit a video, I'll click edit, and if I have a crap processor, it will take ages. If I have a good processor, it'll take minutes. I used to edit, when I first started this channel, a 10-minute video would take over an hour to edit. Now a 10-minute video will take, if it takes more than a minute or two to render, something's gone horribly wrong. And it's that kind of difference. My work laptop, for instance, over here, if I open a spreadsheet that's like a massive bid document or something like that, where it has loads of tabs open, hundreds of thousands of equations and all formulas and everything, that'll be fine. That would normally fine on this machine, but on a laptop, which is crap, it struggles, and you can see it literally sitting there going, this is hard. Just gives up. Whereas on a decent machine with the resources to handle it, you don't get into any of these bottlenecks and things like that. So I think it affects. So gaming, I'm not a big gamer, but gaming seems to be the area where it makes most of the difference, because they are really pushing the boundaries. Most of the stuff I do is not pushing the boundaries. Most of the stuff I do is boundary adjacent. So the most heavy duty thing I do is probably video editing. And that's something that will just go as fast or as slow as your resources will allow it to do. Things like gaming or like mass calculations or mass... you've probably Rebecca's probably come across this when you're talking about your massive data sets. When you're working with big data sets and things like that, it will just give up if it's not good enough. Whereas most applications will just go slower until it gets it done. Sometimes you need it to have the power, otherwise it's just going to go like, nope, done. And lots of the, I say video editing, but that is a hard thing to do. Lots of benchmarking tools and things that they use in the industry are all rendering video, because rendering video is quite a difficult thing to do for a computer, because there's lots going on in lots of different areas, so that's a good way to measure it. So while that makes a difference in a phone, I don't do a lot of video editing in my phone, so I don't know whether that's been a thing. I don't do a lot of mass data calculations on my phone. I don't do a lot of any of that kind of stuff. So a 4-year-old phone has been fine until it started attacking me. So I'd have been fine keeping going. The camera was starting to annoy me, and I think camera technology has come on a lot in 4 years. So I'm hopeful that the new phone will definitely make a little bit of a difference there. But yeah, I've always categorised it as these devices that we use, whether it's a phone, is it a consumption device, or is it are you taking out, or are you putting in? So if it's a consumption device, you don't really need anything. If you use your phone to go on Twitter, to watch YouTube videos, to whatever, read emails, whatever, if you're just using it for that, any phone will do anything. If you use your phone to create, so if you're taking pictures, if you're editing on your phone, if you're all the things where you're doing on the phone, then that's when it starts to make a difference whether it's good or not. But if you're not, you don't need the best. Anyway, Phones by Graham, 2023. Brian says, I've watched Doctor Who since Wurzel Gummidge was Doctor Who. I have also watched Doctor Who since Wurzel Gummidge was Doctor Who. No, that's not true. I watched Doctor Who when Wurzel Gummidge was Doctor Who. And Wurzel Gummidge's son is now... No, that's not Doctor Who at all. That's Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, he's in Sherlock Holmes, yeah. Whatever. Aquarium Delirium, nice to see you. How we doing? I got a new Nokia G310 5G phone yesterday. Oh, that's why I mentioned it. It's got 5G. It was the first time it came up on, and I went, oh, 5G. That's a thing that I've got now. It's made no difference to my life today. So I don't know whether it will or not, but yeah. John Pertwee has a son that looks exactly... Yes, he does. That's the one. Oh God, I'm miles away again. 15 minutes behind. Nokia G310. I've never heard of that, I must admit. 128 gig phone, 64 gig RAM, 50. That sounds good. What was it called? G310. I can get that for £160. That does seem good if that's the specs. So here's a little website that I like to use. This is what I've been comparing all my phones to recently. You can go on This apparently is the Nokia G310. It's called a Nokia G400, but okay. So it has a better battery than mine. Has a 3.5mm audio jack. Yep, can confirm no audio jack, but that's seen as a feature these days. So you're winning on audio. But I should be winning on RAM, CPU speed, main camera, although only just. And storage, maybe, but only just. Yeah, sounds like you've got a pretty good deal there. And that's the thing, somebody else mentioned it, I can't remember, was it possibly Lisa? Saying, oh, why don't you get one of these? They're cheap as well. It was the Samsung A whatever, and the only reason I ruled it out is because I thought it didn't have dual SIMs. I don't want to carry two phones around. And it turns out I don't think it actually does have dual SIMs. Side note, I think that has a SIM slot and an SD card slot rather than two SIMs. But if it did, and my work was going to give me one, I would 100% have taken that. That'd have been fine. Not copied, taken the influence from, yes. They've taken the influence of the iPhone, definitely. But that makes sense to me because the good thing about the iPhones is the design. It's not necessarily the technology, because it has caught up with the technology, but it was always the design. It's the look, it's the feel, it's the use. And that's all design rather than computational effort. Phone with the camera, don't need anything else. That's why I was originally looking at a Pixel, because it was a decent phone with a great camera. And the only thing my old phone was missing was a decent camera. I just couldn't take videos with it, really. One video earns enough for a new phone. Well, it was a special video, I must admit. So it's not often one video earns enough for a new phone. That was a one-off. I don't like Samsung, but it was good that they moved away from those curved screens. The cost to replace them. I have a perfectly fine Microsoft Surface laptop, but the screen needs replacing. Yeah, I had a work-issued Microsoft. I had the Surface Pro 4, I think it was. And the battery exploded and it just pushed the screen out. It was like, I'm not having any of it, but it was a great device. Turning up on a customer site with less, it was like, they were like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's Flash. They were really good. But again, there was one feature that I used that made it really good. So it was I think that cost about £1,200. And that was maybe 5 years ago. And the only thing I liked it for was it had a magnetic pen which clipped to the side of it and it turned into a tablet, and you could just take notes with the pen and it would push it into OneNote for you and then transcribe it. And I was like, this is amazing. Rather than having to sit in a meeting typing, I could just go, yeah, Dave's talking crap. That will never work. £1,000,000. And it would just transcribe it. That was fantastic. I remember in 2005 Doctor Who being advertised in Blue Peter. Is that because one of the Blue Peter presenters was one of the Doctor Who's? Or have I made that up? Simrant Boyal, is Humphrey dead? I'm afraid so. That's why he's absent from the background. Yes, he didn't make it. I upgraded the audio setup on Black Friday for my PC because the leather was falling off. I did get the Virtuoso XT headset, but sent it back for better headphones and an amp for cheaper, and I'm happy. Good. Yeah, I'm glad people are getting deals on Black Friday rather than just going, it's Black Friday, let's buy loads of stuff. That's not the way to do things. I also bought a new air fryer and more. So if you need more spark plugs, the energy monitoring Tapo plugs are on Black Friday at the moment at less than half price. I should probably find a link for that, but they're really good. I think it's like, is it 25 quid or something like that for 4 of them? So I bought more of them because my smart plugs all stopped working at the same time, and I went, oh god, what's happened here? And I tried to look it up and go through support and everything. They're like, no, we don't know what that is. No, never heard of that. These aren't compatible with Amazon. I'm showing them in the box going, works with Alexa, hello. Shut up, Alexa. So the Tapo plugs are great though, and I'm happy to have them. But the day after I bought the Tapo plug to replace all the smart plugs, I got an email from Amazon saying, oh, you know those smart plugs you've got? Oh yeah, they don't work anymore. We've changed the skill in Alexa. That's why they don't work. Just enable this skill and it'll all work as it did before. So I was not happy. But I am happy that I now have enough smart energy monitoring plugs to cover every plug in the fish room. So I will now know exactly how much the fish room's costing me to run. Air fryers are brilliant. Concur. Air fryers are one of my... I love air fryers, yeah. They're great for just about everything. Buy an iPhone, get the new features that have been available on Android for the last 3 years. Right, let's not start that. But yes, I agree. That's what I say to my iPhone driving colleagues. When they're like, oh, look at this, I can do this now. And I'm like, yeah, my 4-year-old phone, I've always been able to do that. Phone technology is going downhill. Phones from 10 years ago were just as, if not more powerful than phones today. I think I agree with that statement today. It's the same cameras. I don't think it's the same processor. I think the processor technology has come on quite a way, because if you think about all processors, you're going from 40 nanometer to 12 nanometer to 7 nanometer, 5, 3, 2, 1. The same power has been put in a smaller space. Yes, so while they can do the same things, they can do those same things in a much smaller space. But the thing I used to miss was when you were phone shopping, it'd be like, right, what do you want your phone to do? And I remember once having not a dilemma as such, but it was like do I want it to be able to take pictures, or do I want it to be able to scan barcodes, or do I want it to be able to weigh things, or do I want... There was like a whole gamut of things I wanted to play games on, rather than everything trying to do everything. There was a lot of things that did one thing well. Now, obviously, doing a lot of everything doing everything kinda well is good, I guess. And maybe I'm just old, where you want the olden days where it was like... what was the Nokia N50? Was that a phone that I remember? N5, N50. So there was obviously the old 3210, which you could like play football with if you forgot your ball. But I remember them coming out with one that was basically a camera that had phone capability, and everyone was like, that's amazing. Right, okay. I've kind of lost the train of thought where we're going. If you maybe it was 42%. Let me see the ones I bought. Orders. Is a Tapo smart plug with energy monitoring. Yeah, 42%, $28.99, which is still good. So if anybody wants them, these are fantastic. If you want to understand what's using the power in your aquarium, you will not get a better price than this at the moment. Is Tapo bad? No, I don't think Tapo is bad. There was a couple of months back, there was a bit of a scare with Tapo products where we got some notifications from security centre to say, if you're using any Tapo products, stop. Disconnect from the network immediately, because there was a bit of a security scare, but it was all turned out to be nothing, so it should be fine. But the Tapo system is actually really good. I can't fault it. You don't need a hub. You don't need... lots of them require you to have set up something else, whether it be Google Home Assistant or Amazon or whatever it might be. These are just plugs. You plug in the plugs and it tells you how much power goes through that plug. It's brilliant. They're fantastic. I have Tapo for my aquariums. I have Tapo for lots of things now. I think I've now got 12 of the Tapo plugs. They're good stuff. If processors were modern, we'd have more budget options than a Core i3 to an i7. Well, I think we probably do have, because you've got the ARM processors and things like that. The naming conventions i3 through to i7, you have to worry about the numbers after that, because that's the bit that makes a difference. And so I've got an i7 running my home server here, but an i3 from today would destroy it in benchmarks because it's an old i7. So it's I get where you're coming from, that it's not new technology, it's not doing things better in a different way, it's more shrinking the capability from 10 years ago down to a smaller size so as you can get more of it to do more things, if that makes sense. 33 times my first phone. Yeah, I think it was lots of people's first phone. In fact, I've probably still got one. Oh, I might even have the Nokia that I was talking about. I have my drawer of dead phones. There's a Nokia N95, I think, that was given to me as a work phone. One day after being issued this, I dropped it. The predecessor to the Google Pixels, the Google Nexus, or the LG Nexus as it was. These were great phones. These were proper flagship killers of the time. An Honor of some kind, Honor 50, 60, something like that. I don't even know what this is. This is the age of the stupid black rectangles. Doesn't say anything on it. I think it's a Motorola of some kind. A Samsung Galaxy 2? This one still works. I can turn this on. Should I try and turn this on? Let's see. Oh no, it's got HDMI. I don't have a micro HDMI cable. There's my OnePlus 3. This was one of my favourite phones. This one's still fine. The only thing that doesn't work on this is the home button. I had to add a software home button because the button gave up before anything else did. This was a great phone. This is an early Xiaomi of some kind. No, here's the early Galaxy. Samsung held together with actual duct tape. Or parcel tape. Yeah, this one still works. A Lenovo phone. I didn't realise I had a Lenovo. Lenovo 38011. Anonymous Triangle. Another Nexus phone. Because I liked them that much that when I broke that one, I bought another one. Another Honor of some kind. I have a lot of old phones. I've also got a lot of old tablets. Now, look at that for a phone. Remember that? Remember, you think the 3310 was old. I think this was the 5510, was it? Because it was tiny. And this is when it was like, can we make phones smaller? That's what we want. We want smaller phones, not bigger phones. Hello? Do you know what these are? A BlackBerry Playbook. These were fantastic tablets that just never had anything on them. Oh, there's loads more. Anyway, we're reaching that time. Nokia N-Gage. I think it was the N something. I should have it in here actually. Maybe was it just the N5? I learnt karate from watching Monkey and the Water Margin. Oh, big news in the karate front. My daughter is a national champion at karate. In the kata side of things. She was robbed. Properly robbed in the fighting side of things. But we'll save that till next week. Because we've reached 11 o'clock. If it's time for for Cold Water Aquatics, probably streaming right now. Let's have a look. He is indeed. So I don't want to encroach. So go and watch that if you want some more fishy fun. If you don't want to watch that, but you do want to do some fishy fun, Discord server. There's also the I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I've had lots of strong beer tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for indulging me in my reminiscences of my good old Humphrey. And we'll see you in the next one, I guess. Bye!
Last episode, you saw Edwin make the huge mistake of buying this horrible E36, and now we've got to try and get it back on the road. So we've given ourselves 2 weeks to get it. A week? Do you know how much there is to do? Yeah. Fine, let's go. Nice.
So the plan is to get the E36 into the bay and remove all the previous owners, mods and DIY fixes, with hopes that this E36 can go back on the road with a fresh MOT.
It's in.
Wasn't easy though, was it?
Easiest thing I've done today.
The guy that transported it is, he said he's transported about 700 cars. He said it was the lowest car.
So we're going to start with the small jobs, I think.
Yeah.
Little button-up stuff. Drop the entire rear subframe and swap that out.
Front subframe.